Hey, I'm Felissa Rose, and you're watching Keto and Crime.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Keto and Crime. Today I've got a unusual video. I wasn't planning to do this, but after I delved into these documents, I felt that I wanted to share them with you, so I thought I would do another video to do just that. Today we're going to be talking about the 2,500 pages of documents that were released by law enforcement recently, referring to the Daybell investigation, particularly honing in on the Arizona investigation of the deaths of Charles Vallow and even Alex Cox mentioned in here, as well as Tammy Daybell. So, very interesting find. I want to thank East Idaho News for doing a fabulous breakdown that helped me understand what I was reading. I read about 1,800 pages of the 2,500. I did not get through all of them, but it gave me a good semblance of what's going on. But before we jump into that, I'd like to thank my sponsor for this video, Spruce 3D Printing. As you can see my wonderful Keto and Crime sign here, he did that for me. He's available for orders big and small. I'm going to put his information down below. He's a good friend of the channel, so please support him. And with that being said, let's delve into the Daybell Vallow files. All right, everyone, so what are these Daybell files? Well, they're basically a recent amalgamation of files that were released by the Chandler, Arizona Police Department that contained over 2,500 emails, texts, photos. Like I said, I've been through the bulk of them. I have not been through all of them, but thanks to my research and that of East Idaho News, I was able to put together a list of the major things that were the big takeaway of this. There were some standout things in here that shed some light on things that we've known have happened in the past and some of our suspicions, in my opinion. But with that being said, let's go through the major points one by one. There was an audio recording in there that I did listen to from Lori's phone called Lori's Testimony, in which she is self-prophesizing and basically tell her that saying that she does everything she does is for her Heavenly Father. So,
and then he sent me on a mission. So he told my husband and I to move to Kauai. So we were like, you really want us to move to Hawaii? Like, I'm going to need a confirmation of this, Heavenly Father. Like, you're going to have to tell me this again. So I had 6 confirmations in the temple that we should move to Kauai. And the very last one was a lady who I went in, it was before I started doing my own names. And I went into the dressing room and she said, oh, would you do a name for me? And I said, oh, sure, I love to do names. You know, I did. I grabbed her name, looked at the name, put it in my pocket. And I told my father, I was like, I know you've given me like 5 confirmations, but I really need to know, this is a big deal. I have to leave my baby and her baby's like, I'll go do whatever you want me to do, but I really need to know this is what you want us to do. And so I'm in the Mesa Temple, and as soon as I'm going through the veil, look at this card, I open it up, look at her name, and it's stamped Hawaii, Hawaii, Hawaii. And it was, the date was the day before. And I know this lady because I know Hawaii. I lived there for 3 years. So you'd have the overnight flight. So she was yesterday in the Laie Temple, and then she's flown overnight, and now she's in the Mesa Temple, handing me this card. Would you do a name for me? Hawaii, Hawaii, Hawaii. The Lord is in all the details of our lives. And so I go into the dressing room, and I'm in the dressing room just getting dressed because I've got to go pick up kids. And he shows me my whole life is full circle to come to the point. I had to marry this husband, to adopt this child, to get to this point, to be in Kauai at this time, because these people there needed me. So we were in Kauai for 3 years. I thought we were going there forever. I loved it there. We were in this tiny little branch. I served as a primary president. I loved those children. We had so much fun doing that. And then I was at the Laie Temple, which I would take people, reconvert them. They're like, you're the primary president, but we don't have anybody for you for counselors, so you have to either reactivate people or baptize people. So I reactivated 2 sisters, went with them to the Light temple, flew them over to, because you have to fly from Kauai to Oahu to go to the temple, got them their endowments, helped them through the whole temple process, because that is where the Lord is, for he walks those very halls. He is there. And I said, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the gateway to get you to the temple, so that the Lord can teach you himself. He doesn't need anybody else to teach you. He teaches you. As you take out your time, which is the very first thing you consecrate when you raise your hand, you consecrate your time on this earth to go do that work. When you take out your time, and I'm telling you, all those people on the other side that have already lived on this earth, they know how busy we are. They know what it's like to be in mortality. And for whatever reason, they didn't take the time, or they didn't have the ability to do that work for them. They are eternally grateful. I was in the sealing room one time, and I saw a sister, a spirit sister. It was one of my husband's aunts, come over, and she kissed me on the cheek before she disappeared through the wall. And I'll tell you, her line and her priesthood power is here. And it is going to be back on the earth in fullness. In fullness, the priesthood power, the women and the men together, they are side by side. They are equal in power and glory. Equal. And they're going to come together. Jesus is going to come with his eternal companion and reign. And they are equal together. There's not one more powerful than the other. And women have been protected. The first time Jesus came, he restored the priesthood to the men. And when he comes again, it's restored to the women for his second coming. And we are equal in power in priesthoods. But we have different roles. We have different things that we do. For we, the women, we do not come here to become like Father, like you, like Thor. We're here to be like Mother. We have her attributes. We have her wisdom. I got this. I know him. I know him like I know you. And do you know that I know you? Yes, he knows me. He knows everything about me, and he knows everything about you. And everyone's in charge of their own thing. So what I preach to people, what I feel like my mission is you find out the warrior in you. You find out what you came here to this earth to do. You find out what you promised you would do. Because I know we promised that we'd meet each other. I know that we promised that we'd be in this circle. We'd help elevate.
Everything that she's done, from the Social Security fraud to the insurance fraud to terrorizing, anything that can be proven, terrorizing her family, terrorizing her friends, splitting up family, was because God told her to. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. That was her reasoning, but the fact that it's there in glorious audio for everyone to hear now is huge, in my opinion. Then there was a March 19th email from Charles to Lori after she banished on him for a while, supposedly took money out of his account, and basically left JJ. Basically in here, Charles is trying to put the marriage back together. He says, I want to try and establish a family connection with you and our son. At that point, it had been just over a month since Charles had heard from Lori. Also, there were some interviews with Alex, Lori, and Tylee on July 11th, 2019. That's the day that Charles Vallow was shot in self-defense by Alex Cox. They did also have the search warrants there. They were redacted, all vital information redacted, but we do know it was in connection to that. Now, what Alex said in those interrogations or interviews, not a surprise. He claimed that Charles came at him with a baseball bat and that he was forced to shoot him, that Charles came at him, he was forced to defend himself and kill him. pretty much JJ wasn't a whole lot there. They said he didn't see anything, thank goodness. He just knew his daddy was gone. Tylee kind of recants what Alex did, which makes me kind of backtrack on my earlier thought that her and Charles were close. I think they were close at one point, but maybe Laurie had driven a wedge in between them. So she tends to be good at that, doesn't she? There were also notes in there on this that investigators between July 14th and July 19th, Alex evidently took a trip to South America, to Colombia. So basically, just a few days after he supposedly shot Charles Vallow in self-defense, he's off to South America. No one really knows why he was there. Many people think it was because he was searching for drugs for whatever ailment was, he died of supposedly blood clots in his lungs. Some people suspect maybe he was going there to secure medicine for that. We know he had gone to Mexico to do that, so that is some of the speculation. We do know that between 2015 and 2018, Alex had wired people in Colombia money on 3 different occasions in varying amounts. There were some emails to detectives between Laurie's sister-in-law where she basically stated that Alex and Laurie killed Charles on purpose. She also claimed that Alex left 2 of Laurie's dogs in the desert because she didn't want them, which, if that's true, it kind of shows how she was very apathetic toward anything that didn't benefit her. These dogs were not an asset to her. They were, a time suck, I suppose, getting in the way of whatever twisted mission she had. So he just took them out in the desert and left them. If that's true, it speaks to both their character and how little life means to them. It was also reported that another family member had told Alex that they didn't want their pets anymore, and he supposedly also shot and killed that dog. Have these people ever heard of an animal shelter? I'm just glad that they didn't. We do know that JJ's service dog, which was returned to the service which trained it, his, emotional companion, it was returned to the organization that trained it by virtue of their contract. So Laurie had no choice there. She would have been left on the hook for the cost of that dog and the training of that dog. So they did take that dog back, but I shudder to think what would have awaited that dog had that not been in the contract. I often speculated, as cold and callous as she was, and she loved to kill people, why would a dog's life mean anything to her? Well, obviously, if this is true, it doesn't. August 9th, 2019, Kay Woodcock emailed detectives worrying about worrying about JJ's well-being, and asked the police to do a welfare check. She said that Laurie was not responding to either her or her husband's texts or calls, and that recently she was worried because Laurie had recently discovered that the life insurance payout from Charles went to Kay and her family for the benefit of JJ instead of Laurie. So Laurie was pretty well hot about that. So she was worrying at that time that maybe she took her anger out on JJ. I believe that the welfare check was conducted at that time, as early as August. I think that might have been the one where they discovered Daybell at the apartment, and he claimed not to know Laurie. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was it. In an email dated September 5th, 2019, Laurie emailed the Life Academy, which was JJ's specialized school in Rexburg, saying she was offered a job out of state and would need to withdraw JJ from school. They also released the school records for JJ from Life Academy, showing his academic progress, plus his date of registration, plus his date of withdrawal. It was right around this time. All that information was redacted, of course, but we can see very plainly it was referring to JJ. This, to me, these next 2 or 3 are the most haunting to me. There was a photo from Laurie's phone that shows JJ sitting on a ride at Yellowstone Bear World, just south of Rexburg, and I'll drop that picture here. About 9 days after that, on September 23rd, also 2019, Lori's phone shows multiple pictures of rifle ammunition at a gun shop in Idaho Falls. Now, why would you need to take pictures of ammunition? Unless you were planning something that required a lot of ammunition. Then on September 24th, the next day, Lori sends a message to JJ's nanny saying that JJ's grandparents came and took him for a few weeks and she would not need her for a while. And about a month, she said to take the next month off. There was also a cellular analysis done on September 26th. Basically kind of shows some phone activity from Chad Daybell. Basically shows also some security camera from a local Walmart where it shows a person resembling Chins Daybell at a Walmart in Rexburg, not far from his home in Salem. Then on October 6, 2019, we have a photo of Alex taking pictures, supposedly sightseeing, scenic pictures at Mesa Falls, just north of Rexburg. This one is a big one to me. Lori booked a flight on October 8, 2019 from Idaho Falls to Arizona. The day before Tammy reported the potential shooting outside her Idaho home, you know, when she suspected that somebody had shot at her with a paint gun in much the same way that someone shot at Brandon Boudreaux. And he at first thought it was a paint gun. Leads me to believe it was a real gun. And probably Alex Cox. But, you know, I think I should throw off all pretenses that I don't accuse and believe these people did these horrible things. But, yeah. So anyway, she booked a flight from Idaho Falls to Arizona on October 18th, the day before. So maybe she was getting the heck out of Dodge so that nobody would think that she had anything to do with it. Basically, Tammy, of course, as we know, not only told her husband and local police, but she posted about it on Facebook. And then not long after that, when the morning that Tammy was found dead of natural causes, not so natural anymore since Daybell has been charged with her murder, investigators say Lori booked a flight from Phoenix back to Idaho. Isn't it convenient that she left Idaho the day before the first attempt on Tammy's life and then came back after it was all over? Lori. So evil and so stupid at the same time. On October 19th, we also see several affidavits where the officers interviewed people surrounding Alex's death, and also some pictures and witness reports saying they saw Chad and Lori holding hands the day after Tammy passed away. And then we show affidavits and proof that Chad and Lori stayed at the beachfront resort on Kauai in Hawaii from November 3rd to November 6th after being married on November 5th, 2019. All the time ignoring requests to show the whereabouts of Tylee and JJ. All about claiming to different people that either A, both children had passed away, Lori didn't have any kids, or they were with the Woodcocks. So a myriad of different excuses to a myriad of different people, from Chins and the Gargoyle, which I will affectionately call them from now on. But yes, we do know where JJ and Tylee were at the time now, but at the time we didn't. They were only considered missing, and they were denying even the existence of these children to people that didn't know for sure these children existed. November 25th, 2019, an email indicates that FBI in both Phoenix and Houston received tips via email that Charles' homicide could be attributed for cause to Lori and Alex, and they began an investigation just after that. Meanwhile, Lori and Chad, according to these documents, are still in Hawaii as late as December. It also shows evidence that police attempted to do welfare checks at the Vallow townhomes in Rexburg. They set up surveillance. Nothing was found. Of course, just before the two left for Hawaii, that's when we see the famous footage of them putting JJ and Tylee's stuff in storage. And then after that, it's a lot of witnesses, witness affidavits, tips coming in, as well as showing hotel, airline fares, Hawaii, everything from Arizona, Idaho, and then they were some files released from VOW, another voice of warning, preparing a people, the prepper website that we know all of these people were associated with, showing that Chad was the big man there, and he was talking about not only his visions of the future and his plan, but he was also still contributing to that side as if nothing had happened. There was also, this is where the famous post by Christopher Parrott, one of the leaders of the Avow Network, began to defend Chad and attack the media for painting him in such a bad light. Also, a lot of emails requesting interviews, things like that. And then there are also phone records of what could be attributed to several burner phones, disposable prepaid cell phones that could have been attributed to Chad and Lori during this time as well. And I saved, literally to me, the most haunting image of all for last. A picture on Lori's iCloud from September 22nd, 2019, the last day JJ was seen alive, supposedly by Warwick and Melanie Gibb. Around that time, he was a picture of JJ sitting on the couch enjoying, looks like a milkshake or a yogurt, something like that, in the red pajamas that later on we know his body was found in. I'm going to put that picture here. So could that have been the last picture of JJ taken? Probably, and that's what's so haunting about it. Now, of course, we know lots have happened. In December, we had Alex Cox's death. All the suspicions around that we'll never know because he was cremated. But it's all starting to come together. This is a lot of documentation that I'm sure law enforcement does not fear will damage their case at all. That's why they released it. I'm sure there's a lot more that was not released for fear of tearing down the case that will only be given to Daybell and Vallow's attorneys as discovery. Now, we do know that Daybell will be going to trial, supposedly, at some point this year in Idaho for conspiracy and connections to the deaths of JJ and Tylee, as well as murder in connection with his wife, as well as a number of frauds, things like that. Lori has been deemed incompetent to stand trial because Idaho does not have a guilty or not guilty by reason of insanity defense, so she cannot be tried as long as they deem her not fit to stand trial. But she has also now been indicted in the murder of Charles Vallow in Arizona. I think Arizona does have a guilty by insanity defense, so she may find herself on trial in Arizona. And if they don't get her, I think the feds will come calling next. I think she's going to go to trial. She can only postpone the inevitable so long. And those are the high points of 2,500 documents that were just released by law enforcement this month. Hope you enjoyed my summary. I know there's a lot of YouTube videos out there on this, but I wanted to give it to you in the most short, concise way, because that's how we do it over here on Keto and Crime. Short, concise, easy to understand. And with that being said, I'll be back really soon with my Indigenous Peoples School expose from Canada, as well as the another Daybell novel. Oh, God, help me. Anyway, with that being said, if you'd like to support the channel, links to my Patreon membership button is down below, but that's not required. It's just appreciated. And with that being said, please like, comment, share, subscribe. And until next time, Keto and Crime.